Bonjour, folks. I'm Sass, and welcome to Creator Conversations, Episode 3. Today, I want to talk about visibility and just showing up, because that's the reason I'm here on YouTube. And this is a conversation that I started about a month ago now over on my Instagram stories, where I challenged myself to show up at least every other day on my stories just to talk about what I'm doing with my business and my creative work and to get myself comfortable in front of the camera. Because I've been seeing the conversation recently about how, for the next wave of small business owners, creators, visibility is the thing that's going to get you the opportunities. It's not necessarily the people who are the most talented or who are the most skilled at whatever their craft is. It's the people who are the loudest and the most visible. And that has been a message that I've been seeing repeatedly. And it's been something that I knew. But if you watched episode 1 of my rebranding, refining episode, I talked about how when I started my business 5 years ago, I'm a sound designer, editor. I do production, sound on set, post production sound for both film and podcasts. I was very much hesitant to appear on camera because I said that's why I do sound. I'm behind the scenes. I don't want to be in front of the camera. But one of the challenges that I have slowly gotten comfortable with starting last year is appearing on camera since I am a solopreneur. I'm the one running my business, and so people need to have a face to identify with the business. And I was inspired recently to start appearing more on camera, starting with my Instagram stories, because I call it an easy lift. My Instagram is mainly family, friends, other creative colleagues that I've worked with who follow me. So I think for a lot of people, the fear of visibility is the fear of being perceived. And I found it easier to just show up on my stories knowing that it's people I already know who, if they're tuning into my stories, they're kind of already invested. But now, in moving over here to YouTube, one of the things I want to do is challenge myself to risk being perceived by others. Because the more I thought about it, I said to myself, as a Black woman moving about the world, I'm already being perceived. We all technically are always being perceived based on race, gender, our physical appearance, and how we dress. And so technically, we're always being perceived. But there's something about putting a camera in front of ourselves that makes us feel very vulnerable, because then I think what the fear is that we now have to put ourselves in the mindset of the people who might be doing the perceiving. And then we start to see all of our flaws and we see ourselves from other people's perspectives. And I said, you know what? As a Black woman, I'm always being perceived. And I'm probably, sad to say, 99% of that is probably going to be negative. And I haven't let that stop me in the past, moving about my day to day life. So why should I let the fear of being perceived stop me from appearing on camera? So that was what I said to myself, and it got me inspired to just come on camera and start talking about whatever is on my mind. Because, like I said in episode 1, I came into this year, 2025, with a rebrand of my business. And now, towards the end of the year, heading into 2026, I'm doing a refinement. So I started by changing my brand logo, my brand palette, and now I'm refining my messaging and my service offerings as I have made some pivots throughout this year. So, one of the things that I want to do in being more visible is being able to help show up on camera to explain the process of how I work. Because I think when people think of a sound person for film and podcast, they just think of someone behind the scenes. And I spent this year moving into a more facilitator role, doing workshops, hosting sonic wellness workshops. And that's something I want to expand into in the new year. So, showing up on camera to explain sonic wellness, and also I found that in coming on camera, whether it be YouTube or my Instagram stories for the past, I think I've been consistent for about a month now. I said in my stories when I talked about being more visible that I'm calling in a lot of things for 2026. I have a lot of big goals and I want to rise to the occasion of meeting them. And in addition to being visible, getting the comfortable being on camera and being visible in that capacity, it's also just about showing up for myself and showing up for my business. And this is part of that, whether showing up in person or on camera. I see that as part of my expansion and evolution. And I see it as practicing for the things that I'm calling in because I'm hoping to have more public platforms, not just in YouTube, but doing more workshops and working with people on a bigger stage And so I see this me appearing on YouTube on my Instagram stories as practicing for the things that I'm calling in. Because one of the things that I have become conscious of, even in just a month of doing this on camera work, is I become more aware of my posture, how I'm sitting, and most importantly, how I'm speaking and articulating myself, and being able to speak off the cuff, speak off the top of my head. Because when I come on to these videos, I do write down bullet points and I have my notebook here with what I want to talk about. But for the most part, I'm getting myself acquainted with talking off the top of my head, making the mistakes, being okay making a mistake, not falling apart, and just letting myself pick back up the sentence and continue on the thought. And the other thing that I've noticed just in the little bit that I've been showing up on camera is that as a sound person who has worked editing podcasts, I'm very aware of filler words. So the ums, the likes, you know, when I've worked editing podcasts before, that is the bulk of what my editing is removing those filler words to make the host sound like a TED Talk speaker. So I was lucky in that regard with my sound work that in appearing on camera, I already knew slow down, be mindful of how I'm speaking, be mindful of how I'm articulating myself, and leave out as many filler words as possible. Because one of the other things I want to do with these videos is minimize the amount of editing time I have to work on these videos. Because my goal is to be able to be as consistent in uploading at least one video, maybe 2 to 3 a week with these conversations. And so, in thinking ahead of how I'm going to have to edit, I'm being mindful to slow down my speech and articulate myself. If I feel an or a like or another filler word coming on, pause, allow myself to pause. It's not the end of the world, and then continue on. And so I've gotten so much better with that over the past month of appearing on my stories and now having done 2 episodes under my belt. So that is the reason I started making these creator conversations, just to talk about my process and my business and watch myself grow in real time and share that growth with others, because I see so many big things happening for me in my business in 2026. And I told myself, why wait till January 1st? Why wait till the New Year's? It's a little bit slower heading into winter, and I have the time now. So let me start practicing for the things that I want in 2026 by showing up now. And so that's the message that I want to leave you all with today, is that the key is just showing up, imperfect as it may be, and view the first few times you appear on camera as practice. This is how I'm approaching all of this, is that this is practice for the bigger stages and the bigger platforms that I will be on in 2026 and beyond. So why not practice it on my own terms, in my living room with my own camera, where it's just me watching myself? So that's what I want to leave you with today. And I'm going to be more consistent in uploading because I have a lot more topics that I want to talk about. And I'm going to share the process of growing through my business, growing through the refining process of my rebrand, and just having more general creator conversations. So if you enjoyed this video, if you have been struggling with visibility yourself or you have any fears about it, type it in the comments. I would love to engage with you. like, comment, subscribe, share the video, and thank you so much for joining me today on Creator Conversations. TTYL.